Chapter 10. Pattern. The sun bathed the unconscious man, the warmth enveloping his skin. Well, most of it. It must have not been late in the day because he couldn't feel the warmth of his left side, which also meant Tove must have left a while ago. Then Gunn felt a ray of light on the left side of his face. Confused in a sleepy state, he glided his hand over his chest to check if he was having a heart attack. Nothing felt unusual, despite heaviness. He went to rub his face, but something was off. His face could feel metal, but his hand felt nothing. Quickly, he opened his eyes, wider than he felt was possible. The forearm he knew was a mechanical replacement, gleaming brightly. Gunn's breathing grew irregular as he clutched his chest.
What the hell is going on?
He screamed, springing out of bed. The rush of motion sent him to the floor face first, as his head throbbed. With bangs and crashes to anything chest-height, he made it to the bathroom, seeing the alteration beside his body. He bent his arm, grazing the frame. It didn't seem to be built into the arm, but rather it was still the arm he knew and used. This was confusing, but would explain the lack of pain or blood.
Must be a decoy.
He muttered as he looked for a switch or a button. His eyes soon recognized a cosmetic rig chip, bolted in his ulna. He pressed on it for good measure in case it was a button in disguise.
No dice. Things fused in good.
He sighed deeply, rubbing his throbbing temples. He felt his heart quiver in the thought of being attached to one of the most outlawed items since unpermitted tattoo parlors. He couldn't think straight, so he grabbed his pack of cigarettes and lit one near the window, keeping the chipped arm away just in case something was monitoring it. Though he thought of getting it off, the epiphany crossed his mind that he shouldn't question just how to get it off, but who put it on him. He picked up his phone, running through his contacts. He sought a Tove's number, gritting his teeth before selecting it. Firmly holding it to his ear, he bounced on his leg, impatiently waiting for it to pick up.
Hello, this is Tove Jargon. If you're hearing this, I can't come to the phone right now. Please leave your name and message after the beep, and have an amazing day. Mwah!
Gunn growled, ready to reprimand her once he heard the beep, but then stopped.
What are the phones about? Damn it.
He thought before hanging up. He had to get the chip off, but who could he trust? He grabbed a notebook and went down the list of his contacts. Classmates and professors were skipped. His dad would freak out and stress him out even more. Kim might help, but he was with Moon. Then a familiar name popped up.
Might be a gamble, but...
He selected the number.
Hey, you're at the shop? Anyone there? Not a lot. Good. I'll be there.
He hung up before feeling a jolt of electricity up his arm, falling to the ground in pain. Groaning, he looked at his forearm and saw that the chip was spreading up to his neck. Not only that, his ankles gleamed with bronze rings around it. With the perturbed populations, he stood up to go to the train station near the school. He was covered well and went outside. He was bombarded by flashing cameras before he fled toward the university, gaining his vision back from a few things. He was able to see a strand of young women weaving through cricks and crannies, vigil of somebody obviously important. Whoever it was didn't matter for the time being, as he got to the institution's subway. Walking toward the terminal, a white-headed figure diverted his attention, his body algid, yet fervent. He wanted to hide, and he wanted to confront her, but seeing the situation she most likely got him in, he couldn't stomach what she was capable of. Hearing the announcers for the bus he needed to get on, he maneuvered around her. No matter his divergence, their steps would meet, her tepidity pulling him in, nearly making him forget why he was there in the first place. Once he made it down the stairs, he ran toward the platform, getting his bus pass ready, only to get hit in the face by a branch.
Ow! Keep your foliage to yourself.
He barked, rubbing his face. The three-eyed old man looked at him, smiling.
Sorry, Sonny. Thing needs grafting.
He said as peach pits fell from his pocket. Gunn helped the man gather the pits, putting it all in his pocket.
That all of them?
Yep. Need to mend these old pockets. Thanks for the help.
The old man exclaimed before trotting into the bus, Gunn coming into it. Gunn was pushed in by the crowd behind him, though he was lucky enough to grab onto a hanging strap toward a door. His slug ran out once the very person he was trying to get away from was on the phone in front of him. Holding his breath, he looked away from her, trying to ignore the tingling tones of her fragrance.
I'll get to the terminal at noon. Yeah, I got it all. I understand. Thank you. Bye.
She responded in a cold manner, bringing chills down his spine. He hadn't known her for very long, but he could tell there was something off about her. He heard the old man in the seat diagonal to him, counting the pits in one hand.
23, 24, 25, 26.
The shake of the train caused the pits to launch from his hand, one flying towards Toe. Without a second of consideration, Gun's hand extended to catch the pit before getting near her, stunning the man and her both. She turned around, cussing softly as she saw it was Gun, face paralyzed in fear.
Gun?
The train stopped, opening the doors. When it was wide enough, Gun ran out as fast as he could. Tove ran over to the door he left through.
Gun! Wait!
She called out, but in the blink of an eye, Gun's feet ran faster than it was be possible for a human. He passed the 8 stops that would normally take 10 minutes in less than 3, jumping over pedestrians and objects until he grabbed the stop sign, flinging himself into the parkway of the auto shop.
Huh?
Gun exclaimed as he patted his body, making sure he wasn't missing any part. He sniffed the air, smelling burning rubber, while looking around the corner to see his feet made smoky skid marks. He went, walking over to the lobby. He came over to the receptionist desk. Yeah, of course I'm getting tickets to 1GB era. I'll pick you up when I get off my shift, okay? I gotta go. Bye. How can I help you? The receptionist asked, hanging up.
Is Shay wanted?
The receptionist nodded, pointing him to the garage. Second door to your left. Gun went to the bustling garage, seeing everybody hard at work. He knocked on the metal door, waiting for an answer. He sighed after waiting for a minute, opening the door. The room was dim, stinking of rocket fuel and melted titanium. Gun looked over the cluttered room.
Nuna, I know you're here. Come on.
He muttered before his cyborg park sensed something was behind him. Quickly after turning around, his hand grabbed whoever was creeping behind him, pinning it to the wall. Gun gasped, feeling the switch before flicking the lights on.
Sorry,
He was interrupted by the strange chuckling of Che Wong, holding his wrist. Got me all choked up. She joked as Gun released her. The woman quickly hugged him into her chest. Her eyes squinted happily. Couldn't get your hands off me, huh, Guna? She snickered as Gun slipped out of his pillory entrapment.
I wasn't trying to put them on you in the first place. Don't make this weird.
He muttered as she offered him a cigarette. And then started making sense, she said, sliding it into his mouth. Gun took out a slider, respirating with a smoky sap.
All right.
The two moved to Nuna's tinkering section, brimming with parts from other planets, including pictures and souvenirs sprinkling about. Gun looked over while Nuna gathered her tools.
Found anything new out there?
He asked before her oblong radio wheeled over to him. The words Galactic Greetings scrolled over the face. He tapped on the head before it wheeled back to its position, playing the intergalactical news. A few things, but I'm not telling. You come onto my ship and find out for yourself. Ah, there it is, she said, grabbing a microscope. Gun pouted, reclining back.
You know, I can't. Dad'll think I'm abusing his generosity for college and a job.
Nuna's son jewel drilled beside him, coming near his face. You know damn well he wouldn't. The only thing you abuse is time. Gun gulped, leaning back more.
You make it like I'm gonna die. Space was there before I was born. It can wait for me to...
She slammed her fist on the table, the sudden noise causing Gun to fall. Well, I can't! She gasped, grabbing his hand as his sleeve slid down, revealing the chipped arm. Her gaze brought chills down his back as she helped him up.
Nuna,
She placed her long index finger over his mouth before sitting down, beckoning him to sit next to her. Once he did, she held his hand, feeling the chip. Tell me everything, she said, which Gun obliged.
Once I came to, she wasn't there anymore. I don't know what made her rig me, but it doesn't make any damn sense.
He said as Nuna tried to pry the chip with a screwdriver, only for it to snap in half. Whatever the reason, she secured it well. What the hell did you do to piss her off? She cried, grabbing a bottle of dark blue liquid.
I couldn't have done anything. We went dancing, got some drinks, and then went back to my place. That's it.
Nuna smirked, placing a see-through cloth on the chip. Gun, how drunk were you two? She snickered, grabbing the liquid on the cloth, which made Gun squirm.
We were singing Lizzie songs while balancing ourselves in the backseat of a cab. What's your point?
Just seduction. You made it to your place, barely even standing. You woke up to see her staring out the window, and it ended up being the only thing you saw before morning. Is that correct? He squinched at her, assembling her insinuations.
I'm not getting into details that delight you too much.
So you're confident that those details happened, even though you blacked out? She sighed, peeling the cloth before placing it under a microscope. Gun blushed deeply, frowning.
You know, for an aging green moon rock without a mouth, you got a lot to say. So what do you see?
I see platinum and titanium was used to make this, and gold for the wiring. The only thing that's off is that there's a low hidden that the oxidizing oil picked up. One sec. She got a memo pad and pen, drawing what the insignia looked like before penning it to Gun. The symbol started with the lowercase I that was slanted with a squinted G and half of a lowercase b.
So nice of her to leave a signature.
But Gun, folding the paper into his pocket. Did she have anything tagged with this? Like a tattoo or jewelry? He tried to recall if anything was on her, but couldn't come up with anything.
Not that I can remember. The only thing she's got is a chain with a ring, and that didn't have that on the engraving. So what do I do?
Nina gave him a dim look, smirking with her eyes, and she chuckled. Seems like you have to use all those seductive experiences you had and find out what she's hiding. She cued, giving him a wink. Sophomoric memories the two shared all those years ago rushed to his head, making Gun redden as he ducked his head into his jacket.
Nuna, this isn't some after-school romp. This is undertaking espionage. Couldn't I just ask or tell the police?
Nuna scoffed, wheeling to her cluttered file cabinet, tossing gadgets and paper. Gun, she's clearly unpredictable. You could easily get dumped down the Contrijan River and nobody would know. She wheeled back to him, cleaning his chest with a wet napkin, her touch making his arm hair elevate. Might as well charm the snake before ripping its head off. Gun looked over at her hand, wrinkles starting to show. As midday ebbed forward, he held it, rubbing it with his thumb.
Brash for someone so seasoned. You really think I can do this?
Nuna's glassy face tinted as she finished cleaning, tittering under her breath. Gotta measure it to be certain. But not without. She handed him a bag of minuscule spying bugs. Decent spyware. Put this under a piece of clothing or jewelry, conspicuously, of course. He nodded, smuggling the bag in his jacket pouch as he got up.
Thanks. How's the night been?
Good. Beginning into writing. Just in case I forget something important. Here. She tossed the leatherback pocketbook, which he caught. She recorded everything, in case you're ever compromised.
Got it. Thanks, Noon.
He said, walking toward the door. Una got up from her chair, moving around her desk. Gun? He turned around to see her. She gave him a hug, her taller, slender form starting to shrink. Call me. It's nice to hear your voice in the morning, when I can hear it, okay? She said in a fading tone. Though her voice was downcast, Gun turned to the emerald stone before embracing her.
As long as you don't constantly hang up on me, I'll call.
He opened the door, smiling back at her.
Keep me in your journal.
He said before leaving the shop. He saw people looking at the Skidmore as he left. It'd be best to take a more secluded way back home. She went toward the apartments. A wall of guards blocked the entrance, holding back fervent fanatics from getting in. Burly, he dashed through toward the guards.
Hey, I live here. Let me through.
He protests, holding up his house keys. One of the guards opened the door a few fractions of a millimeter, Gun squirming through, past grabbing and tugging. Disheveled and winded, he decided to take the elevator to his door, making sure that he had the bag and pocketbook in his pouch, before stepping out of the opening door. Walking down the hall, he saw a few sacks of boxes and luggage toward the two figures, a black and white husky, and none other than the beagle that tagged him, renovated apartment.
So that explains the frothing crowd upstairs. Who the hell is this person?
Gun thought before ducking behind the radiator, listening to the conversation.
The limousine should be arriving round back. Are you sure the fans will die down in a few hours?
Asked a tall male figure in a tranquilizing yet eerie tone.
Definitely. The leads around Heaven's Bowl will lure the majority out. Plus, who can resist your mom's cooking?
Said Tove, tittering.
Mother does enjoy a full restaurant.
The man chuckled alongside her before freezing, holding her close.
John, what?
Tove's lips were covered by his finger.
Show yourself.
The man said in a rigid manner. Gun flinched, his body frigid. Tove looked over, casting softly as she ran over toward Gun.
Gun, are you okay?
Gun stumbled back into the threshold of his door, snagging up to his feet.
Yeah, I'm just getting some air.
His sentence trailed off, seeing the bag she was holding, with a pattern identical to the logo on his chest. His heart was hammering against his ribs, nearly escaping.
Tove, you know this individual?
Asked the man as he walked closer to them, his jacket printed with the same motif. Gun couldn't say anything, with his heartbeat deafening any sense he had.
Yeah, John, this is Gun. He helped with the dance the other night. Gun, this is John Hoy. I'm sure you're familiar with the Pop 1GB era, right?
Tove looked over to his petrified stare, worried.
More of a metalhead, honestly.
Gon looked at Changyu. His height coupled with his callous stare only made him more terrified.
I see. Thank you for stepping in after Yun's accident. Truly selfless. Tove, were you able to compensate him?
I was gonna get around to it, but Heard the last of the boxes were being dropped off here.
Zheng's eyes dimmed, the ceotic irises boring into Gun's skull as he adjusted his watch. Zheng Yu closed his eyes, nodding slowly.
I understand. Disappointed, but understood. Gun, was it? Name your price. I'll pay it.